Gruesome Magazine.
Hello, once again. I'm your host, Doc Rotten. This is Gruesome Magazine, where we review the very latest in theatrical horror films. Each week, my co-hosts Brian W. Smith and Christopher G. Moore and myself will take a look at various spooky, scary, and gory genre offerings. Tonight, we are reviewing Scream 6. And the question is, can 2023 keep up with the high bar it has already in theaters this year? We'll find out tonight. All right, let me introduce a crew, starting off with award-winning filmmaker Christopher G. Moore. How you doing, sir?
Do you like scary movies? I'm doing well.
What's your favorite scary movie? All right, also joining us, award-winning screenwriter Brian W. Smith. How you doing, sir?
Who gives a fuck about movies?
That was a great line.
That's my new favorite. That is my new favorite, I think. I'm doing well. Thank you for having me. I think this is my anniversary movie, because I think Scream last year was my first movie with you guys. So, yeah. Yep. So I'm happy to be back.
I'm glad you survived.
I know. I'm so glad you're still here. Oh, great addition.
That year went by fast. It was a great year.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, and I think this year is going to do the same thing. The amount, just before we get into this, just the amount of horror content is hard to keep up with. It's insane. It is so much.
It's encouraging. It's good to see.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think it feels like 1984, between 1980 and 84, when it was just like everything. Every weekend there was something, it seemed like.
Well, seeing we have a screenwriters strike coming up next year, maybe a downfall.
Oh, really?
It'd be a lot of found footage films. Again. All right, well, let's get into this. What we're going to do is we're going to give you our first impression. That first impression will be spoiler free. There are spoilers. It's a Scream movie. Come on. Then we'll get into discussion, and we will get into the spoilers thereof. And of course, we'll wrap things up with our score 1 to 5, and our favorite scene. And there are plenty of favorite scenes to choose. Are there not? Yes. All the heads are nodding. All right, let's take a look at the card. Of course, we hope you enjoy this review, and if you do, please hit the like, subscribe, share with a friend buttons. Each click will help us find more horror fans just like you.
One of us.
All right, let's take a look at the card and get things going. All right, Scream 6 from Paramount 2023, available in theaters beginning March 10th. In the next installment, the survivors of Ghostface killing leave Woodsboro behind and start a fresh chapter in New York City. Directed by Radio Silence, written by James Vanderbilt, and Guy Busick. Of course, it's based on the characters created by Kevin Williamson. The cast, of course, Courtney Cox, Melissa Barrera, Jenna Ortega, Jasmin Brown, Mason Gooding, Skeet Ulrich, Roger Jackson, the voice of Scream, Dermot Mulroney, Jack Champion, Josh Segarra. If you guys recognized his face, it'll be interesting. Liana Lebarato. I'm going to say Lebarato. It's wrong, whatever I say. Devyn, Nekoda, Hayden, Panettiere, yay! Tony Revclari, and Christopher G. Moore. Who is the last person on the list?
Samara Weaving.
Yeah. Fun movie. All right, let's find out what our first impressions were, starting off with Brian W. Smith.
Scream 6. I was fortunate enough to see this last week at the New York premiere, so that was kind of cool. Gritty, brutal, mean, vicious. It's fun. It's entertaining. It's not as maybe as comedic as the original, so it's interesting to see where they're taking it. I guess they were sort of expanding on the sort of New York theme and giving it that sort of darker tone. Like I said, it's pretty mean and brutal and vicious, and I usually like a little in a Scream film. I like a little extra comedy or humor to offset that, but it was effective, I would say, in the horror stuff. And I think Radio Silence is carrying on the Wes Craven, the Wes Craven-ish, style, where you're sort of affected by even, characters are on screen for like 3 minutes,
Mhm.
having horrible things happening to them. So that it was I think I definitely like it along the lines of 2022. I know a lot of people have some thoughts on that one, but I still keep 3 and 4 down further down on my list. So this one's up there. I appreciated it, and I like seeing some of the new people. Yeah, it was cool.
Did you enjoy Kirby coming back?
She was fine. It was a different brand of Kirby. I think she was a little more subdued. I guess because she's supposed to be older and more professional. But I think I like the Kirby from part 4 a little bit more. There was something just a little more individual about her. Here, she
Mhm.
was just sort of like playing. She was just back playing the character, but it didn't feel like Kirby. Like Kirby definitely stood out in the original in part
Yes,
4
good.
as
Absolutely.
sort of it's hard to describe. She just had an edge to her that we'll see. We'll see what happens when we talk about part 6 without
Which will
spoiling
be
anything.
yeah,
Without
very
spoiling.
solid. All right, Christopher G. Moore, what was your first impression of Scream 6?
I enjoyed it. I think it's got some great moments in it. I don't know. I laughed a lot during it, so I don't think it really sort of like drained all the comedy from it at all. And I even though it's not doesn't add anything to it, just if you stay to the end of the credits, there's a nice little joke.
Mhm.
But overall, I enjoyed it. It sadly it's one of these things where I saw the movie and I enjoyed it, and then I had friends like, "Oh man, this is horrible," whatever. And the more I thought about it, the more I had issues with it. I will say that the 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 big reveal I think is one of the most ridiculous, idiotic things I've seen in the whole franchise.
Oh no!
And it didn't make and as much as I think we always have those bonker reveals, there's part of it that just made no sense whatsoever. And I'm still trying to wrap my head around how that plays out. But I had more interest in sort of like the elements of the main final girl and her sort of like issues of that connected to the previous entry, with her sort of being the I guess we could say that spoiler stuff from
yeah,
5.
it was spoiled from the time, yeah.
But yeah, her connection to a previous, guy from the other Scream films. But
I
overall,
don't think it's a spoiler that Sam is the daughter
Darth
of
Vader.
Yeah,
yes, Darth Vader's daughter. So yeah, she was the daughter of one of the killers. And so I kind of like that aspect and how, especially how it plays out in sort of like the final fight, I guess you'll say. But although I do want to ask Brian, do a lot of train rides, do the lights go out that often, or is that just for effect there?
Honestly, not really anymore. They fixed that. So that's okay. That was an 80s thing, and no, especially on the newer, they're all newer. So yeah.
Okay, that just felt like more stylistically cool. But every time I've ridden this, not that I've ridden this away.
Oh, the trains would
small
be
amount, but
much more terrifying if that was happening now.
Yeah, and I've never had. I would be scared all the time if I would never ride trains if that was the case. So, so I didn't know. I felt like that was just more for dramatic effect than anything else. But yeah, I thought it had some great sort of scenario moments that worked out for the atmosphere and the tension and stuff. But I don't know. I felt like the reveal kind of sucked the air out of my love for it a little bit, especially the more I was like, that doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Not to say any of the reveals make a lot of sense if you think about it, but that was just like, to me, that was really stretching.
No.
But yeah, overall, I did enjoy it. I don't understand people's other hate for it. So yeah, I enjoyed it, but I do have issues with it.
Well, I had a great time with this entry, and I enjoyed this more than I enjoyed 5 last year. To me, I like our new characters. I like going to New York. They even have a nice little nod to to Jason Goes to Manhattan, right? It's obvious. You'll see it. But I don't know. I liked how, I mean, to me, there was actually tension. The subway scene, the attack in the apartment, and I enjoyed the finale. And I did not have a problem with the reveal, but I saw it coming. But it had one surprise, but not three. Oh, sorry. Spoilers!
Spoilers, yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, I really like it. I love the direction of it. I like the tone of it. I like, of course, Jenna Ortega is fantastic, along with Melissa Barrera, and I love her conflict that she has with, her lineage, which is visually represented. I really like how they did that, and they did it in 5, and of course they do it again in 6, and I like how they did it, and how it motivates her, if you will. To me, it's just, I had a great time. I had a great time, and I really, really enjoyed this entry. I might even say, I like it right under the first one.
Really?
Right? And the only reason I like the first one more is because it was so original, right? And this one, of course, is far from it. But to me, it's right there. I really enjoyed this one.
I have it at 1, 2, 5, 6, and then maybe 6, 5. Sometimes it switches back and forth, but yep. I definitely like 5.
I think it's together. Yeah. I think it's 1, 6, 2, 5.
Really? Okay.
4, 3. Wow, that's hard to say again. I'm not going to say that again.
My only gripes as a New Yorker, as we were talking about, is the New Yorkness of it. I know that wasn't necessarily what they were striving for. They weren't going for the New York as a character. And I think they've said that, and the directors have said that in interviews. They weren't necessarily going for the typical, New York tropes of, the locations and stuff. But as a New Yorker, you're sort of sitting there looking at it and saying, it's not quite New York. You can feel it.
Still looks like Canada, right? So.
Yeah. I mean, all they had to do, and I don't think they're even from New York, or maybe they visited. I don't know, but it felt like a movie made by people who have never either at least ventured into New York, or at least maybe seen a New York movie. Like you just pop in Ghostbusters and Crocodile Dundee, a couple of shots, that would work. But there are some moments where I was just like, if only, but whatever, it's fine. I get what they're going for. That in terms of like comparing like openings, and because the opening definitely sets the tone for the film itself in this series. This was another one that really just like stuck with me after I saw it. It was really, I mean,
really
it just,
it. Yeah.
I wouldn't say I mean, it was good, but I was like really affected by it. I think maybe if it was an actress that we didn't know and who didn't, we're in spoiler territory, right?
We are in spoilers.
Yeah, I was really deeply disturbed by the opening sequence, and it in a good way, as a Scream fan, as a horror fan, as a Wes Craven fan, in that tone, it did its job in terms of being very effective. I guess because of Samara's performance. I mean, she's only there for a few minutes. I had hoped that they'd given a little bit more to do, but those pipes, we knew from Ready or Not and Evil Dead, we knew that she was going to have the chops there, but it was ringing in my ear throughout the rest of the movie. After I had to really sit and think about it. It was just a horrifying opening sequence.
And then they pulled the rug out from under us too.
Well, that reveal, that was really cool. Hated that guy immediately. I was like, I don't know who you are, but I hate you right now. And I didn't know where it was going, and that was very interesting. It was like how they were gonna follow him around, and I thought maybe that's where they were headed, but no, he gets taken out, and Ghostface utters my favorite line of the
yes.
And then right there, I was wondering, like, where are they going to take this now? If it's a Ghostface that doesn't care about movies, who could this be? I was wondering. I started wondering, like, who could this character be now? And yeah, the reveal at the end was kind of, but to the point where I don't even really remember the ending as much as I remember the opening. The opening really, really bothered me. So, like in a sort of Sheriff Judy Wes, that triple factor, Dewey in the fifth one, that was all wrapped up in that one scene just because it was so horrifying. It was so done so well. So kudos to Samara, but damn, that was I don't think we've
Well,
ever seen.
I was like, when I saw Smart, like, oh crap! Now
Yeah.
she's doing the Drew Barrymore. How dare you take
I know.
one of my favorite actresses and do that? But then they had this sort of like, pulling the rug out and doing something different, which is always the cool thing, where it kind of takes the elements that we're used to and changes it up. And then, although it kind of, I don't know about you guys, but I was almost thinking, I thought this movie was going to be about like a cult of.
I think they're teasing that. They're trying to
which they may do with the third one, although some people, or the seventh one, although some people think if they're following the format of, I guess the first three or whatever, this may go back to being more.
It'll be a movie,
more of a one killer, where we might bring back a certain person that they actually teased.
They need to bring that back
at this point. Yeah, I think someone big has to come back, or
because then if they do bring Neve Campbell back, it would be appropriate for her to fight against
right,
Shaggy.
We need Stu back.
But
they may have to like create like if they're gonna do that route, they may have to like give some time. They may have to do like a flash forward. Do you think? Because her daughters have to be victim age. I think her daughters are like babies right now, so they have to like if they flash forward,
if they want to do that. I mean, maybe they might not bring the children into it, but she might just pull like a 5 and just show up out of the blue,
right?
But yeah, I don't know. I think that'll be interesting. I mean, and I think for me the big reveal even just it didn't make sense for the killers, because they seem so much taller and stronger than the people that were revealed as the killers. And I was like, I mean, they were actually more like stronger and violent than the last one, or any of the other ones. And to me, that's like, I don't know, because I guess I'm sort of more used to just the Scream killer
as long as the killer that we got to see most was the father. That would make sense.
But none of the other ones seem shorter. You know what I mean?
Right.
And that didn't make kind of sense to me.
But to me, I thought they gave it away. There's a line early on about that the roommate lost her brother, and then so I was kind of like,
well, there were I think there were fake rumors going around, probably by the studio, which was smart, because everyone was always, the keyboard warriors were like, oh, it's got to be Stu, so I just assumed it was going to be Vince, like that was the connection. Kyle Gallner's character, and then the fifth one, who had nothing to do, they gave him like one scene. So I was in sort of anticipating it being that sort of lineage, like in the Stu family, and that was a good misdirect, because that's what I was thinking. I figured she was a part of it, because she mentioned the brother, he mentioned the son. It was all connected. It wasn't really like that big of a surprise, but it was just a matter of who it was.
Yeah, the boy got me. I didn't expect the.
Well, he's such a nothing character. But
I didn't expect him to be, but I didn't think she was dead. I was thinking she was going to be the second one, but so ending up being the third one. I thought I loved it. I loved the whole.
Although I will say, as much as I didn't want them to die, it did feel like they're just, people could get stabbed a million times.
Yeah,
and then this one, it's like, oh, they're all okay.
That was a big problem I had.
I will say, I've
not big.
I love the film. Yeah, I love the film, but that's the one thing is like, could they really survive all those knives? I mean, everybody got stabbed.
But then it just makes me feel like, okay, well, the main people are gonna, there's no worry of these characters being killed off. And the Scream movies were always sort of like, I mean, that's why we got like our movie nerd got killed off in Scream 2, So it's like, nobody is, even the poster, like nobody's safe, but really they are kind of safe, because none of the main ones, none of the core four got killed.
I don't know how Chad survived that. That was
a lot of different.
That was similar to Dewey's death in Scream 2, where it's a great death scene and then they cop out at the end, and so I'm just like,
that's my one squirrel with it. Now I think the other one surviving, I can see that, but it would be a stretch. But even Jenna Ortega's character got a real gut shot, right? How did she?
Well, shame. I
So,
mean, she should have lived in the fifth one, but they
yeah,
subverted that, in a way. Yeah, it's weird,
Well,
and
yeah.
I feel like they shot a lot of things both ways because I feel like spoiler again. I think Gail should have probably she was. I think she could have died in this one. It would have been okay, but it looked like they filmed it both ways.
I
Because
think they did. Yeah,
she
yeah,
literally dies on screen, and then we got a pulse. I'm like, come on, And
yeah.
I don't even know if she's in the shot when they load her on the stretcher. So it's like she probably didn't even know. Maybe she saw it at the premiere. Was like, hey,
Well,
I'm alive.
but at least they did make a mention that that Nev Campbell's character was like, "I'm
She's
not
like,
coming to help this time,"
no, not at all. She doesn't have to.
which makes
Her,
sense.
Yeah.
I don't know why I would. Although I
If
guess
she's
that
if she's West Coast, no reason for her to. It would have been
well,
forced to
but
have her come over.
maybe the next one, the killer will go to the West Coast, and maybe that's how they could do the seventh one, which would make sense. Maybe
Yeah.
I need to go after them. But yeah, I don't know. I think there's a lot of cool. I mean, I think there are some good elements in this. There's some really great sort of tension moments, like the ladder and
the ladder was good. Yeah.
or even the fight in the theater. Although, again, I don't.
There were some.
Your father is a cop.
Right.
You're okay with your son idolizing these live killers, creating a freaking museum. What is that? Doesn't make any sense to me at all. And that things like that were just like, this is ridiculous. This is totally. And then does it? How in the world did he get away with? I still understand how he got away with his daughter being dead. So
he said something. It was a throwaway line about like prosthetics and blood or something.
But did they?
I don't know.
Did the police think his daughter's dead, or they just? I don't.
I don't know.
I don't know. My brain, my brain hurts when I logistically I was trying to understand this, and not that I should be thinking about it, but it fell apart to where it's like these are the worst villains of the whole franchise, in my opinion. It's utter ridiculous. Like to me, it was.
I mean, I did like the scene in the grocery store. I thought that was pretty tense.
Oh, that was another good one. Although there's not a lot of places you can hide in that. So
he had the upper hand with the shotgun. He could have easily just like went over, just killed him.
And there's like mirrors on the corners. So you know where people's hiding. So to me, it didn't really make a lot of sense that they'd be able to hide.
They filmed it well. Yeah.
The only thing missing was a bodega cat. You have to.
Oh, that would have been great.
Something to jump out or something.
I mean, him having a shotgun, I thought was a good. In the trailers, they made it seem like he disappears, but I like how they fooled us with that because he doesn't. He just kind of starts.
And how many phones does Courtney Cox have in her house? How many landline phones does she have? She had like 2 in her house, didn't she?
Some people just can't give up.
Well, she's in news, so maybe she needs. I don't know. She has an emergency phone or whatever. But
yeah, oh, that's true.
I did like when she tricked the killer with. Hold on, that was a nice little sleight of hand when she tricks the killer with. Because it's kind of like I'm wondering. She was because I have to listen to the dialogue again. She was probably picking apart who the killer was. Or just getting a sense of who they were based on their dialogue, right? Because it's just like if you say "hold on" to it, I guess a Gen Z, they're not going to know what that means, right? So it's I don't think they know.
God,
you know what I mean? That's why because it was like what? The killer was like what? That was really funny.
I don't know if you guys recognized who Jack Champion, the son, in our trio of villains. What other film he was in this past few months?
I know he was in. I didn't see it, but I know he was in the new Avatar. Yeah,
he's in Avatar: Way of the Water. He's the one human character in the Navi.
Oh, wait a minute. Which guy is he?
Jack Champion. He's the son.
Oh, he's the long-haired kid. Oh, I didn't even realize it was him.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that the brother of the brother and sister is Cuba Gooding Jr.'s son.
Yeah,
I didn't realize that until recently.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
And then, and then Pug was the boyfriend across.
Oh yeah, Pug from She-Hulk. I kept thinking, I was like, I've seen this guy somewhere before, and then I had to look at IMDb. It's like, oh crap, it's the guy from She-Hulk.
Yeah, Josh Segarra. He was great though, and
I will say that they definitely did a good job of putting like making everybody look suspicious,
Mhm.
you know. And so I did like that aspect of it, to where like every, you know, because, but then it, you know, although it was kind of like, I did think though the kid from Avatar, I did think I figured he was going to be part of it. It just something seemed, he was such a paper thin character to begin with. It just seemed like this obvious. But although were they even bruised up or anything? You think them fighting as anyway?
Yeah,
I need to
there's a
stop.
whole-
My brain's hurting just
I
thinking
feel
about
like
it.
Mickey in part 2 is the only one that actually had a visible bruise because he was in the car accident. And that, you know, every other killer, they get hit by frying pans. I think that was the daughter. I don't know if she had a bruise on her head.
Because they get like messed up majorly
In the mask, yeah.
So you think seeing them later that
It'd be a
Be
little
like all
bruised
like,
up and multicolored,
like
yeah.
slop.
But it does kind of explain how the one, well, it doesn't matter. It doesn't really explain much. But
I
we'll
mean,
shut
I
up.
think I don't know. I think it would. Maybe they will do like the cult type thing in the next one, but I mean, I think again that's where I thought it was going to go in the very beginning, and it didn't go that. So I guess that would be the obvious thing with using it, because I did like the internet, how they turned like the girl into the villain, even though she was the hero of the last one. You know, everybody's these suspicions, and how the internet could sort of, you know, people just spread rumors and turn you into somebody you're not, you know.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
was
I
this
thought they handled that well too.
cancel culture? Was that what they were tackling in this one?
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
Every movie has its own thing. So,
Yeah.
so what's the next one? The third one was the original third was in movies. So will it be found footage or
No.
TikTok challenge? TikTok
Oh,
challenge.
TikTok challenges.
Then you get TikTok kudos.
That might be. I don't know if we know what it is yet. It might be
Yeah.
So you're saying that the killer is going to do TikTok dances before he kills people? Is that what you're saying?
Maybe, who knows? if they're basically remaking the original trilogy, that's what it seems to be, because it's, you know, this one ends in a theater, part 2 ended in a theater, part 3 starts with a movie star or a talk show. Oh no, a talk show host. Oh no.
Well,
The next one will start with Courtney.
Maybe. Well, if maybe they're
Ooh, that's
shooting
a good one.
the new stab movie on the West Coast.
Maybe, yeah. A remake or something.
Yep. Maybe all of them will come back. I did like the aspect that, you know, that the mask being left behind and that they all had the DNA. You know, I like that aspect of it. And how they explain, you know, because that it tied into the collection. Now the collection was a little extreme with all they had, but at the same time, I like that aspect of it. And that would have worked well with the cult as well.
Yeah.
You know, them doing it, but
well, as long as they take the cult West Coast, I don't want it. We don't need it in New York.
No.
I don't need. We don't just.
Although the last one did sort of have a cult type following with the two, you know, the duo.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
But it's kind of Gail's fault, because she promised she wasn't going to write about them, and she gave them notoriety. So.
Yep. Yep, absolutely. All right, well, let's go ahead and wrap this up. Let's give our score 1 to 5 and our favorite scene. Oh boy, Brian, you start us off.
My score, I'll go with what I thought after I walked out. It was, you know, 4 out of 5. Because it had some strong moments that I was thinking about and had to revisit, and some really good. As I get older, I'm like, I'm not really into the good deaths, because it's just like, you know, I'll say it was effective, because I'm not cheering on Ghostface ever in any of the Scream films. I would say my favorite scene, apologies if I'm stepping on any toes, is I guess the cold open.
Nice.
Just because I didn't know where it was headed, but it was also just really Samara's performance was so effective in that sequence, and the way it was directed, the way it was shot. I know a little bit of I Know What You Did Last Summer, kind of. I love when they cut to like the wide angle. It's like you can't help her. It's very psycho, sort of, you know, effective. But yeah, and then seeing the killer get his comeuppance, and it was. I mean, it was a little weird because we didn't get to meet the other killer. It was all through dialogue that there was another.
Yeah, we got to see him though in the fridge.
We got to see him, yeah. But I was like, wow, they cleaned up fast. Or it was just when you start thinking about it afterwards, and it's like, okay, whatever. But
you can't do that with these films.
I know. Yeah, I did appreciate that the killer that, you know, did all that to Segarra, got his comeuppance in basically the same way. So that was but I still felt bad that she had to die. I don't know. But it was effective. It was done well.
Yep. But they took a trope and turned it sideways a little bit, right?
Because when she dies, you're waiting for the Scream logo, then it doesn't happen. So I was like, okay, this is interesting. Where's it going? And I felt that tension.
And then when he pulled the mask
never really
off,
let up. The tension never really let up until the end because the marketing was so great and didn't show us anything. It didn't spoil anything. So it was literally until the post credits. That's when I was able to exhale afterwards.
Very nice, very nice. Christopher, what's your score and favorite scene?
Yeah, I will say just the opening alone was worth the price of admission. Just seeing Samara weaving in that tight red dress, using her natural accent.
It was right after.
Well, yeah. Well, that's true.
It was a yellow dress, big yellow dress. Yep.
Oh, he's yellow. Yeah. Anyway, I guess I was thinking with more blood. I'll probably go to 4 as well. I did enjoy it. I just, again, I think how the motivations and how it plays out was kind of redonkulous. As for favorite scene, without being too spoilerish, I will say it's the moment where she could have been nicer and let the person live. and her sister's like, yeah, just go.
Yeah, I know. I love that look. I love the look.
And it's like, and I think the more, and I think one of the things I loved about the fifth one is just like her using her sort of psychotic tendencies that she learned from, that she sort of got passed down from her dad's DNA. I think that moment where she just, she's trying to be the better person, but at the same time, some people aren't worth you being a better person if they're willing to kill you for it. You
gotta do what you gotta do, right?
I did like that moment. I think that's, to me, that was as much as I didn't like the redonkulous aspect of the reveal, I was I'm more interested in her character arc and her dealing with, her psychotic tendencies and stuff. And I did like that moment where her sister was okay with it. Yeah, just go ahead and stick that in his eye or his mouth or whatever, where he got stabbed. Anyway, that's probably my favorite. He got stabbed. That's right. He got stabbed in the eye. Yep. But yeah, I think that's probably my favorite moment.
Perfect. Yeah, I'm going to go with 4.5. I really just on how I enjoyed it. I mean, if I look at the film a little bit more critically, it starts to drop. But I think just for the enjoyment, this was for me. I was like Brian, I was really tense the whole film, and I haven't really felt that way for many of the Scream films, except for maybe the first one, because the routine. And this one I thought really handled it. I really like our directors on this, and I think they're really growing, and they know how to handle the genre, they know how to deliver, and they know how to film it, and they certainly do in this film. Okay, so the script may have some holes, but it was effective, and it did what it set out to do. I enjoyed the freak out of it. Favorite scene. So which one am I going to go with? Eek. I'll go with the entire scene in the apartment when they realize that the killer's in the apartment with them, and they're trying to get out. Some of them do, some don't, and they're racing around, and then they have to climb across to pug the other building. And I thought they handled that really well, and I was waiting for somebody to fall or at least hang there. But once our girl, who should have been dead already, was on it, from all her stab wounds, because didn't he like reach it up and turn it and everything? But I don't know how she survived that long. But it was also, even the after shot was very effective. It played it all out, and I thought it was tense. So yeah, I like that scene. There's a lot of scenes. You could pick the subway scene. I thought the subway scene played out. I was a little afraid about the subway scene because it was in the trailer so much that it wasn't going to deliver. But I thought the way they handled it, because we didn't know they split up, we didn't know the circumstances, right? So I thought it played out really, really well.
Yeah, I think it did kind of. I think that's one thing I wish they showed less in the trailers. I think this showed more stuff than in previous trailers, at least in my opinion.
Well, we kind of knew that, you know, Jasmin Savoy Brown was going to end up on the wrong end of the knife on that one, but I liked how they handled it, and having the Ethan character, you know, in the background, whether or not he was part of it, you know, it looks like he wasn't. So maybe he wasn't. Maybe it was somebody else. Maybe all three of them were on there at the same time. Who knows? And I liked having Kirby back. I thought the Kirby thing was, you know, there was one line where she goes, "I'm 30," because Courtney still saw her as like a kid, right?
Although there was it was either Variety or Hollywood Reporter. They went through all the Easter egg costumes on the train.
Oh man!
And there's so many. In fact, they actually have one from several of Wes Craven's films in there. Yeah, there's so many different. I think even the director supposedly have a cameo in it as well, or somewhere around the train sequence. But yeah, there's like, I mean, we saw the obvious ones like Freddy Krueger and other things, but or even Samara Weaving's character, Ready or Not, there's a costume of that. But
wow, cool.
Yeah, because you see the wedding dress of the bullet belt, whatever. Yeah. But there's a lot of them. There's a lot of I think there's even one from Nope.
Really? Oh,
yeah.
Wow.
There's of course the couple from Us, but there's a lot of really major Easter egg type things.
Yeah, but having it at Halloween was a great time to do it. But to have that, so, and that gives and the fact that because it was already in the press, there were so many Scream people out there.
Although the Wednesday costume was before she got cast as Wednesday, so that ended up working out.
Yeah, they are fortunate to have her in this film. She is doing so well, Jenna Ortega. So
that she's rumored to be talks for Beetlejuice 2. So.
Yeah, Warner Brothers is pushing it hard. Yeah, and it's possible because she's working with Tim Burton. So if they have a good relationship, and they offer the right amount of money, it's possible it'll happen.
Well, supposedly she's going to play the daughter of. What's her name?
Lydia.
Lydia, yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah, and they will work together again. So
I hope so. That'd be awesome. All right, well, there you go. That's our review of Scream 6. Let us know what you think down below. Let us know how much you liked it or disliked it. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Christopher, Brian, thank you for joining me. This was, as always, a lot of fun.
Thank you.
It's always a scream.
Oh, man.
Good night.
Let's get out of here. Let's say good night. Brian's ready. Get out of here. All right. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night.
Gruesome Magazine.